Hi, my name is Thine. My student ID is 11,195,077. This is my individual reflective journal. During the time when the school converted from offline to online learning, because my parents had to work and my sister had to go to school, I became the main chef in the family. However, due to my lack of qualifications and experience, I ran into a number of issues, and it was then that I dealt with them in ways that, if my mother knew, would get me kicked out of the house. I hope you enjoy my little stories, and please don't tell Mom about it. I once made a fantastic potato soup with bone broth in a pressure cooker that I had been simmering since the morning. Everything was going swimmingly until I poured the white potatoes into the pot of broth and discovered an issue with the stove. It was 11:15 p.m. My parents would return at 11:30 p.m., and if there was no tray of 3 dishes, they would be quite furious. So I walked through the entire kitchen looking for something to replace the one who had temporarily passed out. Things were brought to my attention one by one for consideration. The plug-in little hot pot appears to be a wonderful idea, but 15 minutes isn't long enough for the potatoes to soften, and it's too small to carry the entire massive pot of soup. The hot pot is also a somewhat better option because it is larger, but it still takes time. The rice cooker works well, but it is currently busy preparing rice. And then, in the heart of the crisis, when I was only 10 minutes away, I'd hear the gate open, signaling the arrival of 2 hungry parents after a long day's work. I sat down and discovered the microwave right next to me. My mind appeared to light up as I poured the soup and potatoes into a bowl and placed it in the microwave. Luckily, when my parents arrived, the soup was cooked perfectly, and they even praised me for the soft potato. When I cooked the rice, the cooking problem persisted. Cooking rice with rice cooker, it appears to be a pretty simple thing to do. Simply wash the rice and pour water in, then wait for it to have a hot pot of rice. But when I do, things aren't so straightforward. That was the first time I cooked rice after my family switched to a new sort of rice. I continued to plug the rice with very familiar procedures, thinking all rice is the same. I did not ask the parents carefully, but proceeded to plug the rice with extremely familiar actions, cleaning the rice, adding water, and pressing the button. After 30 minutes, the rice started to cook, and I needed to open the pot to stir the rice. As soon as I opened it, a sight struck my eye. I had put in a little too much water, and the rice appeared mushy. My parents grumbled about this sticky rice a few days ago, and I didn't really care. But when I switched to new rice eating less water, it became a big issue. Worried, I turned to Google for suggestions from people with more expertise and understanding than me in the food processing industry. Aside from placing the sandwich in to absorb some of the water, the only practical alternative at the time was to open the lid and let the rice dry out. I immediately opened the rice cooker cover without pausing to examine the fact, but it wasn't enough because it was rather time-consuming. However, those who have used a rice cooker would know that the cook button can only be used while the rice is not cooked. I was lost in concentration when I suddenly realized that if I left the rice cooker in the cook setting, the situation would change. If I cannot make the rice less mushy, my parents have to eat those, while I admire their kind words. Nothing could stop me, so I reached for the rice spatula and, after some struggle, positioned it to fit the rice cooker. Although my parents did not have to eat sticky rice that day, turning on the butt to cook the rice cooker continually caused the rice at the bottom of the pot to become scorched. But thanks to my rapid response, I was able to justify myself by saying that I tried to create it since I remembered my mother's liking for burning food. But using a rice cooker and letting the rice burn is really amazing. My sister kept staring at me and smiling after speaking that sentence. Fortunately, she kept his mouth shut for me. What a fantastic time! I discovered from the 2 short stories about that wonderful cuisine does not always follow the rules. And the kitchen appears to be the area where creativity is developed and implemented, especially in tough conditions. In my situation, I use soft thinking, which is described as playful, spontaneous, dreamlike, and less concerned with finding the answer as compared to hard thinking and divergent thinking. which is a type of thinking process to discover more possible solutions to the development of new ideas. I gain a greater understanding of an individual's creativity, innovation, and creative thinking processes while researching for the assignment. I also learn how to manage my time effectively while doing homework in order to complete my tasks on time. Since then, I've learned that creativity may emerge from the most insignificant of sources, regardless of the conditions. It is vital to be disciplined, which is not incorrect, but this progressively leads to people developing the habit of waiting for someone or something else to give them permission to be creative. However, permission to be creative can only come from one person, ourselves. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, or how huge it is if you're inspired to be creative. Sometimes all we need to be more creative is a reminder of how wonderful it feels to do something creative. It's incredible how we can lie in the grass and see shapes in the clouds, daydream, and dispute with our buddies. Right now, I know that making this assignment in the form of a video will take me more time and work, but thinking of it as a gift to me if you watch this video and find it interesting is like a gift to me. Thank you so much.